Alrighty, Smitty. We'll start off asking you about your number one goaltender, Drew Commesso. It seemed like ever since he came back, kind of to start off in March last year, he's been just cruising, calm, cool, collected. As someone that's worked with him so much, what have you seen from Drew over the last, I guess, 2 months of play?
Yeah, he's been really good. Obviously the numbers kind of speak for themselves, but I think sometimes getting a bit of a reset can be helpful. And I think last year when we went through that injury, he took it upon himself as an opportunity to get better. And you can really see that in his game. Like some of the finer points, he's gotten a lot better at, and it's really translating. So a lot of credit to him and just, being a pro about it. And, a lot of guys, it would have been easy to sulk or get upset. And, he took kind of the opposite approach. And, you can really see it now.
How can goaltenders develop differently than other positional players as prospects? I know with high draft picks, there's all this anticipation that they're going to come in and immediately, hit the stage. But as a goalie protector, I would say, how do you answer that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is they can take longer to develop, and I think the main reason for that is it takes a long time to kind of sort out your game and each individual play and how you want to play it. So I think there's just so many elements to being a goaltender, both physically and mentally. That it takes time, it takes maturity, right? Like a lot of these kids come in, they're 20 years old, and and I think it takes a little bit of getting used to the league and getting familiar, and then just figuring out what your game looks like. So goaltenders in general take longer, and I think that's the biggest thing is preaching patience with these guys and every player, but especially goaltenders for sure.
When a goaltender like Weeks is coming off a rough outing, not that it was his fault, some of it was on the defense, but what do you say to a goaltender after that just to kind of help him through that one down game there?
Well, I think as cliche as it is, you're really trying to control what you can control, right? So, we talk about the maturity of a goaltender. That's a big element to it. Being able to look yourself in the mirror and have a fine line between what can I take care of and what is team related, right? So I think that's the big thing for me with difficult outings is coming back with some video and showing them what they're capable of maybe doing better and some things that they did well, right? I don't think the result is always indicative of the entire game, right? And I think we have to be able to compartmentalize those two things. So, it's sticking with the process. As like I said, as cliche as that is, that's really what it's about as a goalie.
In baseball, sometimes pitchers will get out of their normal mechanics. Just a little thing is just slightly off, and that makes all the difference. Is it similar with goaltenders? Does that happen a lot?
Yeah, very, very much so. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes mechanically, if you make a little change, it clicks. And that can be really beneficial. And now I will say there's so many elements to the game, right? So it's not just one thing will fix all, but it does help. Like sometimes we'll notice something collectively as a group that can get a little bit better, and it starts to help other areas of the game as well. So it's very similar to I would say like pitching in baseball. Golf is very similar. We've all been there on the golf course when we feel like we could be Tiger Woods, and then the next day we feel like we can't hit the golf ball. So it's very similar to goaltending in some ways. So you're always searching for that little thing that might make the difference and push it over the edge.
And how much are you guys working on communication, especially with the forwards and defensemen? Let's say if it's a 2-on-1 breakaway, I'm going to get the strong side, you get the weak side guy.
Yeah, I think it's constant. I think 2-on-1s for sure, but also goalie touches, like when they're going back to handle it. Communication with D and goaltender becomes really relevant. So I think it's a constant thing. It's something that has to become a habit for our group collectively, so almost all the time.
And something I've noticed, and a lot of fans notice it too, goalies just kind of going into their corner, whether they give up a goal or just kind of stagnate. I guess, is there a meaning behind that, or is, like Scott was saying, is it kind of way to just maybe reset?
Yeah, a lot of times with that stuff, every goal is a little different, obviously, but a lot of times it's just resetting. And that's why goaltending is so unique. You have the opportunity to kind of reset, but it has to happen fast, right? So having a short memory is really important, and sometimes that, just allows them to reset quickly.
What's your experience been working with Stanislav Berezhnoi, just from the sense, hoping that to get to see him here in the next few days, but just from the sense that you guys don't speak the same language. How was that challenge to you?
It's I think the biggest thing is you got to have fun with it, right? Like it is a challenge, and sometimes you want to get more done than you do, but ultimately it takes time for him obviously to learn the language. He's getting more accustomed to it, but it's been really enjoyable. Like for me, we're trying to exchange languages a little bit. So I'm trying to learn a little bit of Russian. I don't know much, but I know a couple words that I'm trying to kind of display to him. So, but it's been enjoyable. Like, he's a really good kid, and I think his attitude is the reason why it's been so easy. He comes to the rink, he's got a smile on his face, he wants to get better every single day. But a lot of it's been video related, right? Like, and showing him physically, moving him into positions that we want him to be in. And he's been really receptive, right? Like, you never know what you're going to get with a player that's coming over from a different country, but he's done an unbelievable job of just being excited to be here. And he's really fully embraced himself, which I think is really important.
How physically demanding is it to be a goaltender at this level? I mean, how beat up during the course of a long season do these guys get playing at this level, and how many calories might they burn in a single game?
I don't know about the calorie question, but no, it's very demanding. I think just because the mental side, right? Like, you're playing so much of the game. You have to learn to mature and take breaks in between the game, almost when the puck's at the other end or when there's a whistle. And we talk about like resetting and how important that is, like, because to your point, how physically demanding it is and mentally demanding it is, you have to take those moments to kind of reset and just let yourself be present in the moment, right? So it's an incredibly challenging position from the mental aspect, and I think that takes up a lot, as much as the physical.
Drew's been very outspoken about how much stock he puts into his mental game and how much he's tried to work on bettering himself on and off the ice. How proud are you of him to see that constant drive to just get better as a human being and have it translate on the ice?
Yeah, it's exciting to see him just like grow as an individual, right? Like, and that has way less to do with me and more to do with him. But it's fun to watch just from a standpoint of him mentally being in a really good space all the time. Like, we had a rough game in Chicago. I think the score was 6-5, and and he was so even keel. I was really impressed by that, and it wasn't his best outing. It wasn't our team's best outing. He could have easily gone to like, oh, it's our third game in 2.5 days and yada, yada, yada. But he decides to, take a road of, I wasn't at my best. Here's why I think I wasn't as sharp. Really, from a standpoint of a professional, like that's exactly what you want to see out of an individual. So I've been really impressed with it. But a lot of that comes from the off-ice stuff, right? Like, and being, really dialed in with your routine and making sure that, you're even keel off the ice too, not getting too high and not getting too low, and not obsessing over it. When things go wrong, you gotta find a way. It's really challenging, but you gotta find a way to let things go and move on. And we talked about this earlier. Like, that's a big part of maturity with goaltenders, right? Like, short memory is one of the hardest things to master, and he's getting a lot better at that, which is awesome to see.
Who is your goaltending guru or mentor who, when you need another outside opinion on something goaltender-wise, another voice, another set of eyes, who do you turn to?
We're lucky because Jimmy Wade up top is awesome, right? So he has so many years of experience that for me, like within the organization, it's right there, right? He's only a phone call or a text away. So from my perspective, he's probably the number one guy I would lean on. We also have a great goalie scout in Dan Ellis who does a really good job, and he's played years in the NHL. So we have a really good base within our organization that I lean on, and then obviously like as you do this long enough, you get friends outside of the organization too, and there's tons of people that I can lean on that way, which you become friends with, and you get to know how they teach and how they coach, and there's a bunch of people outside of the organization too that you can lean on as well. So goalie community is usually pretty tight knit, and we're not super secretive. So for the most part, we're all trying to help each other, which is kind of a cool element within the game.